with the cooler temperatures coming in, it feels a little bit like fall. We have fall sports going on. And top of mind, of course, is getting those kids back in the game. It's a really exciting time, but it also can be a little bit of a scary time as we face things that could be like sports injuries, serious things that can happen to our kiddos on the field. We want to make sure that we have the best care available. Hey, my name is Megan Clanahan. I am the co-owner of Houston Moms. Today we have kind of a fun little panel for you guys. We are going to be sharing a story about Cam, who got injured, and the help and care that she received from UTMB Health, which is our preferred provider for the Southeast area of Houston, Galveston, Lake City, Bay Area, all of you people to our south. So it's fun to see all these faces on the screen today. Good morning, y'all.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So first, I'm going to go down to our doctor on the panel, Dr. Hagedorn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and where you practice for UTMB Health?
Yes, ma'am. So my name is John Hagedorn. I'm work at the University of Texas Medical Branch. I primarily practice at the Galveston campus or Jenny Seeley Hospital, but also have a practice at the Clear Lake Hospital, which is in Harris County. I'm the chief of orthopedic trauma and the director for the residency program, and I take care of people who have unfortunate situations where they're hit by cars or have a sporting type injury or fracture and need taken care of.
Ooh, heavy job you have, but important one. And over here we have Lori Blackwell. Thank you so much for being here, Lori.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so Lori and Cam is Lori's daughter. They are going to share a little bit about their story of how unfortunately Cam got injured. And then how the care at UTMB progressed and how she is doing now. So Cam, take us back. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was at a softball practice after school and we were just kind of running defensive drills and I was selected to be the live runner to run the bases. And when I was running from third base to home plate, I was instructed to slide. And when I went to slide, the heel of my cleat got caught on home plate and it jammed my ankle bone in between my tibia and fibia and unfortunately sheared the two of them. It was a pretty nasty break. Um, it, yeah,
I just, I
pretty,
am thinking of that and it just,
yeah.
no. And Lori, obviously as mom, I mean, how were you feeling in that moment? Were you there to see it or did you hear about it? What happened there?
No, actually the school called to let me know that she was injured. And then I had to make it from work to the field, just to, see what we needed to do and get her in an ambulance to get care.
I can't even imagine what your mama heart was doing. My son plays football and that's, I feel like I'm on high alert from 6:15 to 8:30. And then again after school, because you never know if you're going to get that call. So got her in an ambulance. Dr. Hagedorn, can you kind of speak to the care that Cam received once she arrived at UTMB?
Yeah, she was arrived to our ER at the Jenny Seeley Hospital and was evaluated by our ER staff. Being a level 1 trauma center, we have the ability to then have an orthopedic surgeon in-house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. So we came down and evaluated her with my team, determined that she had not only broken but dislocated her ankle. And because of the severity of the injury and the swelling, we had to kind of take action that night. And as you kind of referenced, oftentimes these things happen not at the most convenient time, after hours on the weekends and things like that. So we were able to get a plan of action together in the early evening hours and get her upstairs to start her treatment recovery that night.
And I think that's such an important point because I mean none of this happens when it's convenient, right? Like it's going to happen again on those off hours. It's important to know that there is care available. So Cam, all of this is happening. You've I mean, what is going through your head when you know that you're heading into surgery?
Well, going into surgery, I wasn't that nervous. Dr. Hagedorn and his team did a really good job at reassuring me that it was a very almost routine procedure for them. So I didn't have very much worry about that. I think I was more worried about what long term the recovery time was going to look like, because as a teenager, I was anxious to kind of get back into school and get back into playing sports again, not really considering that I had a very severe injury.
Yeah. So Cam, remind us, how old are you again? I'm sorry.
At the time, I was 18. I am now 25.
Okay. Cool. And so what did recovery look like for Cam, Dr. Hagedorn? I mean, she mentioned that that was a concern for her, as I'm sure it is for all of these athletes. You know, they put a lot of time and effort and they want to get back on the field.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And you know, in her case, I think a good example we can use is that all the moms out there probably have got those croissant rolls or those biscuits that are in a can, and you have to open that can. And once that can is open and pops, you can't reseal that can and say, we're not having biscuits tonight. And so because of the severity of the injury and the swelling, we had to take a two-prong approach to Cameron's injury. We had to first stabilize it so we could monitor the swelling of the skin and the soft tissues, because if we would have gone and put plates and screws in that night, it would have been much like that can of biscuits. And so we had to first do a surgery which would stabilize the ankle, which is called an external fixator, hold it in place, hold the fracture reduced, allow the skin to go down, and then that's typically 2 weeks. And then after that 2-week rest period, come back for another surgery, remove the frame and place plates and screws underneath the skin so that the ankle can be held into place and she can then get back to recovering.
Bless your heart, Cam. I mean, that's quite, and I appreciate, I mean, the imagery is kind of disturbing, but also good. I mean, it really does help kind of, you know, show what that is like. Lori, see your kiddo going through this. Kind of
That
take us
was-
back to that.
Yeah, that was really tough. Just having to see the external fixator on her leg and having to clean it, you know, having to take care of her in a manner that, you know, a teenager at that age doesn't want her mom to have to bathe her or, you know, any of those things. So it was, you know, it's making my heart pound right now, just going back to thinking about, yeah, that we had no idea what we were looking, you know, ahead to in terms of what that recovery road was. But I can't thank Dr. Hagedorn enough for his patience, because it was not just 2 weeks. It was months that she was in that external fixator. Yeah, it was a while.
2 weeks turned into, I think, 6.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It was a
I
long
don't know,
time.
maybe we kind of black out a little bit. Or like, we don't remember that period of time.
Yeah. And that's
Dr.
the important. Oh, sorry if I can
Go
hop in.
ahead.
And that's the important thing too, is that you know, with these things, that these are dynamic injuries and dynamic situations, and so it's important, moms, when you're out there, to really ask the questions and see what's going on, because while we have an idea of what the time frame may be on things, all the disease does not always read the textbook, and so sometimes you have to be there as a partner to get people through and counsel them, and that's just as important as any operative care you can provide.
Such a great point. I mean, not everything is just going to go by the book, even though it might be like routine for your team. Every patient is different. What you kind of referenced it here, what questions do you suggest parents need to ask if their child is injured, or, you know, if they have something that requires surgery like this does?
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of have an understanding of what the treatment course looks like. Sometimes it's a one-time surgery, and then there's a period of time where the child is limited from doing activities, and having a good idea of what those activities look like and what the restrictions are important. The other thing to look into is this happens around school time usually, because this and so you got to kind of figure out what what school look like? Can they, if they're a high school student, can they walk from class? Back in my day, carrying textbooks, now they have computers and things, but you know, you gotta get to and fro in class and get around. And so those are all the important things, because it's important to note that your kid, while they're going through something that's pretty bad, we need to get them back to being as normal as they can quickly. And so school and what the process looks like is very important.
So Cam, when you think back to those days, how did you kind of cope with recovery? How did, what things made it easier for you, as you tried to get back to 100% or close to 100% minus some screws, or maybe more than 100%. You're
Yeah,
like,
add a little extra. Well, I had a very good support system at home because of how complicated not that the surgeries were complicated, but that the injury was. They had to navigate around me instead of us just navigating together like usual. So they were definitely a comfort that helped my recovery because they were always a very positive entity for me. But also Dr. Hagedorn's team, I can't lie and say that it wasn't a pleasure to go and see them. We looked forward to my every Thursday when we had to show up once a week to check it. They were a great team, so it was something to look forward to, even though it was a terrible injury.
what a testament to the team at UTMB Health. I mean, I will say I have an ortho and knee surgery a couple years ago, and I like begged my knee surgeon, can you just be like a general practitioner so I can keep coming to see you? I don't want to come to see you for knee surgery, but just like a GP situation. So I get it. When you have a team like that, you want to hold on to them, and you want to share the good news about them. Lori, when you think back, what do you think you would have liked to have known? Or what are you glad that you know now?
I think overall, that interaction with Dr. Hagedorn in the ER, it was him and his team, and he navigated us through that entire evening. It's going to be X amount of hours. It might take X amount of time. It was more of that communication. And it was his genuine response that he was going to take care of us, that, as though we were his family, because we didn't know you don't go get a second opinion on something like this. You have to just trust that this is the right direction to take. And it was that comfort that we received bedside, to make such an emergency decision for her. Yeah, just a testament to what we can, do here at the hospital.
That's amazing. Dr. Hagedorn, as we've talked about injuries and fall and things that are going to be happening. What do you want parents to know? Is there any advice that you have for them? Like, and let's say it's not so much an emergent situation. Obviously, we had to go to the OR, like get it straightened out. What do you recommend for parents if it's just, I don't want to say run of the mill, because they're all important injuries, but what would you tell parents for those?
Well, I would tell parents that overall, and this is kind of off topic, your kids always got to have fun, right? And so they got to have fun doing what they're doing. And if oftentimes it's the fun and the frustration that comes out that actually may be hiding something that's hurting. And so look at your kid, and if your kid's performing a certain way on the field and they're not, and the fun's going away, and they seem there, talk to your kid, ask them, are they hurting? Are they having something going on? Because it may be the shoulder pain that they don't want to tell the coach about because they want to go out there and pitch, right? It may be an ankle issue that they want to get out there and play basketball, but they know if they bring it up to someone that they can't get it taken care of. So as a mom and as a parent team, it's important to get out there and make sure the fun is in it, because when that disappears, that can be often be the first indicator that there's an injury going on that they just don't want to talk about, because a lot of this sports stuff is their identity, what they do, and where it's at, and they don't want to lose that.
Oh, such valuable advice there. And I think that's where moms have to use their gut instinct. It's down there to know, hey, my kid isn't quite right, and I wonder why. Cam, how are you today? How's the ankle leg feeling?
Pretty good. I can use it all to full function as I would, well, as I could before the injury. I've got some limitations. I've got to be very careful with it because of how severe the injury was. I don't want to do anything to re-injure it. But I function normal. It's occasionally get some aches and pains in the area where they put the screws in, or where they put both the plates and screws, but otherwise it's fine.
Does that happen, or is it like a wives' tale that that happens like when the weather's changing? Dr. Hagedorn, is that for real?
Yeah, we don't have an official study to say down here at UTMB to say it does or does not happen, but from my personal experience, there is definitely a high percentage of patients that say that hurricane that was coming, I knew it was heading right for us because my ankle or my wrist was hurting me. So I do think that there is some off the book evidence that that's potentially true.
What do we call that? Anecdotal evidence, whatever we call it. Like, all I know is my knee ached right before barrel hit. So I'm with you.
Yes.
Off the cuff. Lori, anything else you would like to share from the perspective of a mama?
Trust your instinct and, really just like Dr. Hagedorn said, communicate with that care team and make sure that it's a partnership. That's about it.
Yeah, we're all gonna do our best. Houston, we want you to stay healthy this fall and be very careful. But we know injuries are gonna happen. And it's best that you have a plan in place to know what you would do if an injury were to happen to your child, where you would go. And have a trusted team. I love that the Blackwells had a trusted team at UTMB Health. Dr. Hagedorn, you're doing big things every day that sound routine to you, but are very much not routine to families like the Blackwell. So thank you for your service. And y'all, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun to do a panel. We're going to drop comments in the links below that have how you can find more about sports medicine at UTMB Health. If you don't have a preferred care provider, that's our #1 thing. You need to have one. So please find one. We'll put a find a doctor so you can have a doctor at UTMB Health. But we will be back next month for another important health video as we continue through this fall and pray for cooler temperatures. But until then, we will see you. Thank y'all so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see everyone.
Bye.
Bye.